what's your name? Who are you? What are you planning on doing today? Or what did you do today? What are these stories? Is that really all it is? Our lives intertwining in just an infinite amount of stories, one after the other, all layered on top of each other. Big stories and little stories. Your story matters too, though. Even if nobody seems like they care, your story matters, man, or woman. Whatever else, it matters, dude. So yeah, I'm here. It's a Monday. I hope you're doing okay. You know, I really do. Yeah, it's good to hear from you, Jeff Williamson from West Tennessee. That's awesome, right? That's just. I know it's like an old internet thing to wonder at the amazement of being able to connect with people all over the world, but it still is pretty amazing, actually, that right, we can just kind of type and post things on this weird interconnected network of computers that we've created, and yeah, we can form connections. We can make something out of thin air when nothing was there before, and that's, I don't know, it's fascinating. I think just to be able to be part of each other's lives. I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm going to pull this up. Right now. So, what's going on with this? What's going on with this plane thing? Mysterious space plane X-37b was just launched into orbit on its sixth mission. The U.S. Air Force on Sunday successfully launched its high-tech drone X-37b, placing the reusable vehicle into orbit for its sixth secretive mission. Interesting. And right, SS. The drone, which resembles, right, it looks like an old space shuttle kind of thing, and I guess it must have come out of that era. And here's a picture from Boeing. I guess Boeing was the guys that made this thing. It's going to spend months in orbit. And I don't know, right? That's the thing about stories. I don't know if you've heard this story before or whether you're just approaching this story, but that's how this whole grand narrative is formed around us, right? Just sort of story by story. And it seems like a lot, right? Especially for an individual that's in this digital age, right? You're most likely also overwhelmed by just the sheer mountain of information that is coming at you. And if you are attempting to cut through that noise, right? If you have a small business or are, right, in any way attempting to have your voice heard here on the internet, you know how hard it is to cut through the noise and get people's attention. That's just difficult because there's so much out there, right? But then you realize, like, what is it? How do you think about this world, and what are all the things that go into that, right? Your opinions about everything from space planes to I don't know what the best restaurant is in town. All of these opinions and ideas that you have, they have to get formed one by one and slowly over time. And yeah, I like to look at stories like the X-37b. If you yeah, if you haven't really heard about it, it is this mysterious. They keep using that word, mysterious space plane that is flying around in orbit, and they send it up there, and it stays up there for years, basically. I guess it's unmanned, or so they say, right? It's hard to know, trust any of the information coming out of Boeing, but yeah, this space plane, especially specifically this one, the X-37b, it's been around for quite some time, doesn't it? Say here in the article on Success's flight, the first one took place in 2010, right? And it's solar powered, so that allows it to stay in orbit longer than your average satellite, or I guess, yeah, this is a plane, so I guess it has a lot more weight and other issues than your average satellite would. So it's able to stay up there, right? The last flight, it was up there for 780 days. It's not bad. It's not bad. Wait, I want to check out what's going on over here. Right? Jeff Williamson says, I truly believe that the drone has something to do with these incoming asteroids because of this belt we're fixing to go through. I heard it's really going to be bad from my sources, right? And maybe that's a good, right, segue here because, right, these are the stories, right? I don't know your background, right? What you're interested in, etc., all that kind of stuff. But I was really into video games when I was a kid. They really sort of shaped my world and my storytelling. Right? This was just a story that was told to me when I was a young kid, and I guess it wasn't until I really came back to it that I realized, right, how deeply symbolic it all was and how much it ties in to what we're talking about here, right? Because each one of these games, I guess this was the seventh one that they made, but each one of these games has a logo in the background, right, as its main sort of element from the game. And for Final Fantasy VII, it was it was the meteor or the asteroid or whatever you want to call it. I was thinking about this the other day, that in the game you actually have an asteroid. No, what you have a meteor, but you also have a comet, and that these are different spills that you actually have access to. But just as far as the storyline goes, it all centers around this asteroid, this meteor that is coming to the planet, and it's just going to wreck everything, right? And for a lot of the game, it's just kind of hanging out there up in the air, right? And right, Roxy Lips over on D Live says, "Life imitating Matrix, New World Order, real life." That's totally what's up here. But I also tend to think that, right, because this game was huge all over the world, and the nature of this storytelling, right? That, just like I was talking about before, if you have a lot of power and influence and money and all those things, then you know which stories are going to penetrate before you even put them out there. And I think they knew this was going to be a huge game going on, right? 20 years at this point. It's been having cultural influence, and at the center of it is the same story. This idea about a rock coming out of space, right? Just like Jeff Williamson was saying, a rock coming from space that's coming for us and is going to wreck everything, and that there's really nothing you can do about it. It's inevitable, it's happening, and we just sort of have to plan, I guess, and pray for the end, because that's what a lot of this, that's what it all comes back to, is sort of this, the whatever you want to call it, the second coming, the apocalypse, the end of the world, that some cataclysm is coming. and by most accounts, it's actually something that is reoccurring, right? Something that's been happening over and over again, and that's on a lot of these ancient megaliths and stone carvings. And right, there's been a lot of good researchers that looked into that ancient stuff, but that there is something, and it's hard to know because we've been just lied to so much front to back, and it all gets mixed together with this fantasy storytelling where we right, it is basically impossible to know what is the truth, what is the deal, what's actually going to happen, right? Is this the Atlas comet that just happened, and they supposedly broke up and they didn't get right, or is it something else? And that's sort of what I'm saying. Like it doesn't, right? You can take fantasy, and then you can also take these real stories about the space plane, and it all lines up, right? It all mixes together and becomes this one grand storyline that, right, and again, I don't think mere mortals like me or anyone really listening to the show knows how this works, right? Because we're just not operating at the scale, but that's the basic concept, right? That you could take these threads, these storylines, right, with X-37b, and then you weave that together with another news story that comes out about, I don't know, them finding melt glass on the moon and how that was the real reason that they went there. And right, I don't even know if we went to the moon, but all of a sudden those two stories are synergizing together and confirming even harder in your mind that yes indeed there is an asteroid or a meteor, and it's coming, and here's the scientific documentation, and here's the trick stories that are meant to leak it out, right? Because they need to do disclosure, but they also don't want to actually give you the real information. So, right, here's the news story where they said, I don't know, that we broke it up, but it wasn't actually. You see what I'm saying? It's like, and this is how the whole game is played. And right, it may seem like we're just talking about the space plane and some video games and right, like what's the point? But in the end, like this is the whole ball game, right? It's bigger than the stock market and war and nation states going against each other. It's this storytelling, right? And I guess everybody out there listening, you got to ask yourself, and I'd like to hear from you as well. Like, when was the first time that you heard about this story, this idea of an asteroid or some space rock coming to blow us up, right? I think for a lot of us, it's probably those early movies. And again, right, when you see multiple fictional storylines depicting the same type of thing, then you know there's probably something up there. And right, just to call it Armageddon is on that whole next level. When did this movie come out, right? Because this also was just a core part for me. That was 1998. And that's super interesting, right? To me. Michael Bay, this was again a huge project. They knew that this was going to really penetrate into people's minds. 1998. And if you haven't seen Armageddon, you should definitely watch Armageddon because this movie is entertaining AF. I don't really care if you're not into explosion type movies, but it's just incredibly entertaining. And this is 1998. This is a big one for all those people, but I just want to point you over to the fact, right? I don't want to make you listen to too much Final Fantasy trivia here. But if we look at the original game, when did that game come out? It came out in 1997, a year before Armageddon, right? And this is like a really long time ago. This was my childhood, right? Playing video games as a kid, and still 20 years later, this is the story. This is the major story, and that's right. If you really suck down as much globalist entertainment combined with as much conspiratainment as I have sucked down here, then you really start to see this pattern because it's all laid out there basically. Because they have to. That's storytelling in and of itself. It has to be told, otherwise, right? There's no story there. So by its very nature, the whole thing has to be a disclosure because they have to open their mouths, right? They need your attention, and in order to have your attention, they have to tell you a story. And the story is inevitably, it's not possible to avoid. It's inevitably going to have some of that truth in it. And then you have to, right, that's then the detective work from there, trying to figure out what is the real deal here. How can I get at the actual truth? Roxy Lips is saying here, I'm curious, let's do some asteroid research. I never heard of that. Night of the Comet from 1984. Whoa, look at this movie. Wait, I'm just gonna risk playing this trailer because this looks too epic.
Did you ever wonder what it would be like to be one of the last people on Earth?
We're talking Ghost Town!
Who would you see?
There's nobody. I mean, there's nobody.
What would you do?
Amazing, man. Roxy Lips, thank you so much for this tip. This is epic, and this was always my hope for this show. If we can get some hive mind going on here, I really think we could get to the bottom of it because that's all we got to do really is dig out these stories and connect them in the right order. Now, if you have watched this show before, you know I'm a little obsessive about all of the color theory and all that kind of stuff, but I do want to back up for a second, man, right? This is 1984. That's my real question here is how far back does this storytelling go about the idea of the space rock wrecking everything? It's right. It's got to be a lot older than 1984 by most accounts, right? If we listen to those megaliths, this goes back hundreds of thousands of years, and it is the only story. It is the most important story that humans can tell each other that, hey, you better enjoy it for this moment because that space rock's going to come and wreck everything. And well, you better remember the tough times in the caves when we had to eat each other because that was rough. That was rough. Remember the cannibalism? Right, and been a lot of stories about cannibalism in the last couple of years. Yeah, see, I hope you're seeing there in the. I don't know if you are seeing there in the chat. Is the chat broken? Roxy Lips is a first-time viewer and engaging. I think that is just totally epic, right? I'm realizing how hard it is to get out on the internet, right? The self-doubt, the crippling fear that can come over you, right? Because you're being confronted and right. You have to look at all this highly produced, expertly made content constantly, and it's right. It can be a little daunting, but that's at least the nature of the internet in the moment right now. We don't have the internet ID. They don't fully control everything that we can see and say and look at and talk about. So while we still have that option, it's just. And it doesn't really matter what it is, right? If it's posting a comment or making your own video or just saying hello, like it's a revolutionary act. And I know that's like hard to believe at this stage in the internet when everything is just so jaded and flooded and covered in, it's just exhausting, Facebook and all that nonsense. But we still have this like brief window, I think, where we really can just still get on here and speak our minds. And I would encourage you to just reach out. Yeah, surround yourself with positive energy, like Wolf Eyes says. That's a good call. And Ryan, I haven't actually talked to you guys like person to person, but I can catch your vibe, and you seem like good people. So let's hang out. Let's hang out. And and that is the $1 billion question. I wonder why the chat doesn't work. I guess I have the wrong thing connected. Roxy Lips is asking, well, so what date is this asteroid, right? May sometime. And that's, I've been in this conspiratorium for some time at this point, and right, it always seems like that space rock or that major event is coming just a couple months down the road, or maybe even next month. And right, I was just listening to somebody came on a Tinfoil Hat Sam Tripoli podcast, which I would recommend. Good podcast. And he was saying, yeah, this asteroid, it's Atlas, it's coming, that's the one, and it was supposed to be in May. It's supposed to be this month. Yeah, end of May. So, right, maybe that is still on track. But I've also been warned about the impending asteroid multiple times over the last couple of years. So it's hard to know exactly. My money's still actually a little bit on that. We died in 2012, and this is all just a fever dream of our consciousness not being able to accept the fact that we were all vaporized, and that's why everything is just a remake and a rehash of what you already experienced. Sometimes I feel like that. But let's do a little color analysis here, right? This is the 80s. They shouldn't really have been thinking about this kind of stuff. And you notice like a lot of this is not obviously color corrected digitally the way they can just code in any possible color that they would want at any given moment. I think things took a little more planning back in the day. But right, surprise, surprise, we have the red, the white, and the blue. Right, and on this major female character here, it's not surprising to me at all that they would have those colors. And let's just check the rest of the trailer and see if there's any more of these three colors popping up.
Who would you see?
There's nobody. I mean, there's nobody.
What would you do?
Okay, it doesn't want me to stop. Blue,
Hey, I'm sorry.
red.
The end of the world.
And it's really important in this visual media, right? This is how you get entrained and sort of fall asleep, is to have the pulsing of these different colors, to have one screen be the red and then one screen be the blue, and have that sort of switching back and forth.
Makes me a little nervous.
Where would you go?
Ooh, see, okay. So we could, just like with everything in this world, we could go frame by frame and really figure out that it's exactly the same as any other major production that you've seen in your entire life, and that you could comb back through almost every single movie and TV show that you've ever seen, and it will have these same qualities, and you will have most likely not have noticed any of that.
You see.
There's nobody. I mean, there's nobody.
And then we got the purple is also interesting. Right, same concepts: red, blue, white, and these is like major light sources, not just as like an accidental. Oh well, we had some bad spill there. Right, none of this is left to chance, like this kind of stuff.
Hey, I'm sorry if the end of the world makes me a little nervous.
And there again, right? This, I guess I'm trying to prove to myself over and over again that it's like I'm not being crazy. This is straight up. It's there. It's powerful. They use it over and over again, and there's got to be something to it, and there's got to be something to consciously recognizing what you're going through. That is. I'm on a war for consciousness, right? And I hope you will join with me here and preach the gospel a little bit, right? Try to live your life and do whatever you can to get other people to live their life more consciously. And that doesn't mean like, right, like I guess I tried to do back in the day, shouting at them, hoping that they will understand the truth behind Operation Northwoods and the plot and all this, right? Because people don't really respond to that kind of not stuff, right? It has to be a different approach. I'm starting to think if you really want people to take charge again and wake up from this fever dream, it's consciousness. That's all it is. And whether, I think maybe the first step of that is consciously consuming your entertainment. as much as you can, right? We all need to take a break and enjoy our lives as well. Conscious consumption of everything, right? I guess food and all that other kind of stuff. But I think media has a blind spot in most people's minds, right? That you watch the news, you get all angry about the news and who's doing what, and then, well, you just sit down at the end of your long day and you queue up the Netflix or whatever, and then your mind is just putty. It's ready to accept the red and the blue and all of that kind of stuff. And well, I'm here to say, yeah, maybe don't, right? Well, now that we all, I think, hopefully all that we're watching can see this, that yeah, we see the red and the blue, and so it's not going to affect us in the same way as if we were just zoning out, staring into the void. Now, Michelle asks, Michelle Karim, it's great to see you. It just is. These names I remember, and then it makes me happy. Like, oh, it's good to see you again. This movie, I guess, is cut off here by the thing. It's called Night of the Comet from 1984, fitting year, obviously, and it was suggested by somebody on DLive. So my whole scheme of restreaming and having things on DLive is like, if I only got one comment and it came to an actual discussion, then I win. I did it. I did it right. So I appreciate you, Roxy Lips, for giving this suggestion. Yeah, Night of the Comet. I'm definitely gonna have to watch this whole movie because it looks trippy as fuck and also full of truth, just like most of this kind of content.
Would you go?
The star.
Red, the blue, and the white.
Well, get ready to find out, because the
And then obviously pink is in a whole nother category.
is coming into your orbit.
The legal drinking age is
Red, the blue, and the white.
10, but
It's really right. It's like it gets tiresome after a while because you cannot. You just. It's just incessant. It's constant, and there really aren't that many tricks. There really aren't that many tools in the toolbox. Right? Here's another one. Another major is it's the duality, the white and the black. And then we have, I don't know, this lady, is she a clone of herself? But she's, right, the white and the black, the duality, the checkerboard floor. It's all ties back to the same symbolic language of, yeah, it's rooted in Freemasonry. I don't think Freemasonry owns it, but it all ties back and is all interconnected to the same vibe. And
you will need ID. Let's be real.
It's the Night of the Comet.
What do you give me if I come back?
Texas.
Night of the Comet.
I'll be taking requests from all you teenage comet zombies.
The night the teenagers ruled the world.
ooh, and that is super interesting. It's like, I don't know. I guess that's just my vibe. You can take almost anything and drill down further and further and deeper because you know that the truth is like, it's in there, it's embedded. And if you can just look at it from the right angle, or maybe squint your eyes a little bit, that you can totally see the truth. And another part that's core, at least in my mind, to this whole storytelling of the Great Cataclysm, the Meteor, the Final Fantasy, it's all the same story. Another core aspect is the orphan trains and something about all of the adults dying, something about, right? And that's what makes me think it's something even stranger than just an asteroid, that there has to be some next level thing to it, because what type of asteroid could cause all the adults to die and leave the kids free, right? That sounds a lot more like the I don't even want to say what's a good word to describe our current crisis that we're going through, where people that are old are dying and young people are not dying. That's what's happening in the world right now, right? So that's what makes me think that maybe this asteroid, it's like it's all tied up together. And could that actually, right? I just thought of that right now. Could that actually possibly be? Is that an insane thought, to think that a disease, a pestilence, could go hand in hand with some celestial event, and that the celestial event is that powerful and is that cyclical and predictable that they know, right, that that's going to throw off, maybe there's even a scientific explanation for it. It's going to throw off the magnetosphere, and then everybody's immune system's going to get compromised, and then it's going to leave this spectrum of electromagnetic free for this type of virus to, you see what I'm saying? Maybe something like that's going on. But it's blowing my mind right now that she said here as well, it's going to be the kids that are going to survive.
Zombies.
The night the teenagers ruled the world.
God damn. Oh, I'm so happy to have Snafu Snaps with me in the chat. It's good to see those emojis, man. We're trying to build a crowd here, and I'm trying to get on here every day and just do my thing. And I'm so appreciative of you guys joining me and hanging out with me. You know, the thing is about this channel, and I don't know, maybe it's boring. Maybe it's not a good show. Maybe I'm stupid and just lame. Or maybe this just doesn't fit in the YouTube category. But every time I post a video, every time I do one of these lives, I lose subscribers. They shred off. And I am actually almost in danger at this point of dipping below that 1,000 subscriber threshold, which would be pretty demoralizing, I'm going to be honest. Because, yeah, I've been trying to do my best, do this show, and to put this effort in, do the research, and then just have people dropping away. It makes it a little harder, but I'm gonna keep getting out here because I don't give a fuck. I just don't, dog. I want to talk to you about the red, the blue, and the white. I want to be here. I want to hang out with Snafu Snaps and Michelle and Jackie and Roxy, because it's fun hanging out with you guys. And just every time I hear this music going, I gotta start singing. I can't help myself.
That's right. The end of the show involves auto-tune. If you haven't been listening. Whoa, did I lose mine? This happens every time. I get to this part of the show. I gotta, export these things. Wait, I'm starting this part over again. Hold on. I have problems with rendering and the gremlins, and I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on in this part. I'm just gonna play it again. Yeah, Jeff is the man. Thanks. Don't let me slack, Jeff. Right? If no.
For a second, Jeff, I seriously appreciate your comments. I mean, you're an awesome dude too. It's like I'm hoping to get to that point where we have so many people in here that I just can't thank all of you. But for now, I can see every single one of your faces in my mind's eye. Jeff, I appreciate it. I do.
That's right. Now we got the music playing, and I can do the auto-tune singing. It's like, whoa, Jeff, those were some very useful comments you gave me. But the big shout out goes to Jackie. What's her name? Roxy Lips. Thanks for that awesome tip, that live tip that you gave me. It really just add a lot to the show, and it happened to tie into my grand narrative. That's the kind of shit I like. I like when it all lines up together. I think that's
All right, guys. I appreciate it. Man, that makes me feel super good, Jeff, right? You say you've been watching for 6 months and you like the shows. So, right, I'm going to keep doing these shows. I'm going to keep getting on here. And doing these shows. Now, what do we got? It's 9:42 in the morning here. I'm gonna have to mosey along. I got unfortunately some other regular life related things that I gotta get into. But we are now, I would call this like the outro. I got this footage that I took of just traveling. Roxy wants everybody to know that they are a dismal, D-S-M-E-L. I'm gonna have to actually look up what that even is. A dismal. Yeah, I realize for some of you guys out there in the America landscape, this might be actually totally in the middle of the night, which, as a traditional insomniac, I get it. Sometimes you got to stay up all night, and sometimes being awake at night is better than talking to people during the day. Okay, Roxy's saying, tell everybody I'm a DS Mel. Roxy Lip says, I am a DS Mel. A DS Mel. Oh yeah, on YouTube. Okay, yeah, no, definitely. I'm gonna have to check out your channel. I'm gonna have to check out your channel, and I'm gonna definitely do that once I get off here. And normally, yeah, I would love to at this point in the show, like open up the phones or something, but that's just still not where I'm at. Yeah, I'm gonna pull up your channel for next show, Roxy. Because I really appreciate you engaging. That's how much I appreciate it, and I appreciate all of you guys out there too. I yet again hit that 100 messages in the chat milestone, and that feels good. That feels good. We're creating something here together, guys. Yes, we're all gonna help each other. So let's check each other's YouTube channels out on the next one. I'm out of here, guys. I'm out. Goodbye.